Hello and welcome back, everybody. In this video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at Activity 5.2b, Miniature Train. And in this particular video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at the linkage peg. All right, so in order to get things started, let's go out here and begin a standard inch.ipt. And we're going to go ahead and start a 2D sketch. We're going to go ahead and pick on a plane. Okay, so this one is a little bit tricky in the fact that it does use something marked on your working drawing as an SR, which is a spherical radius, and we're also going to be using revolve. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Let's go ahead and draw a line starting from the origin. Take that line totally 100% vertical, and let's go ahead and dimension that line. In this case, that's going to be going up a distance of 0.325. So now that has been established at 0.325. Now we're going to come out here and draw a point. Now when we go to draw our point, make sure you stay away from the midpoint, which is the big green dot. We want to go ahead and keep it with the yellow dot, and we want it to be totally placed here on the line. So I'm going to go ahead and place that point. And now I'm going to go ahead and dimension from the end point, just the red point on the end of this line, okay, to the point I've already established. And we're going to go ahead and make that the spherical radial distance of 0.1562. And when we do that, we're going to see how that's going to open up the gap or close the gap according to what this dimension is. Last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and I want to make sure that this is vertical. So I'm going to go ahead and pick on this point and pick on the top end point of the line. And this is telling me that this would over constrain it, which means this has already been applied to it. So that's good. I just want to check that out. So go ahead and cancel out on that. Taking a look here, we now need to draw a line starting from the bottom here at the origin, and we're going to draw that line totally horizontal over. Now I'm going to go ahead and select dimension. I want to dimension that line because that needs to be a diameter. Our peg needs to have a diameter of 0.0625 at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and say I want this to be 0.0625 divided by 2 because I need for this to be half of that. So that's going to be 0.03125, I think. Okay, so with that said and done, now we can come up here, we can go to circle, we can start from the point that we established earlier. We're going to start that circle and we're going to take that right up here to the end point. Okay, so that circle has been established. Now I can go ahead and draw a line starting from the end point of this 0.03125 line that we established earlier. We're going to take that totally vertical, establish that. Now we're going to go ahead and dimension this. And we're going to be bringing this up a distance of 0.25. So let's add that 0.25 dimension to it. Now we can draw a line starting from this endpoint that we've just established. We're going to go ahead and just bring this past the circle. And when we do that, now we can come back in and we can use trim. So we're going to go ahead and trim this out. And we have one little tail looks like left over here, and we're going to go ahead and trim that out. Now if we take a look at this, the bottom right hand corner, we can see that this is fully constrained. We have all the dimensions we need, so let's go ahead and finish the sketch. And we're going to go ahead and do a revolve. It should be smart enough to recognize that profile, and it does. And the only thing that we have to do now is go ahead and select this point here as our axis. We're going to go ahead and revolve that the full 360 and say OK. Taking a look at the note here, it says that there's an optional chamfer bottom edge of 0.01 times 45. That's 45 degrees. So now we're going to come out here and pick on chamfer. Our distance on our chamfer is going to be 0.01. And now we're going to come here to the bottom edge and pick on that bottom edge, and you're going to see how it will chamfer that at 0.01 to two distances, which means that's 45 degrees. So we go ahead and say OK. Now we're going to come up here. Make sure that this has been switched over to ABS plastic, but the thing is, on the linkage peg, I do want this to kind of shine, so I'm going to go ahead and do a color override, come down here to chrome, and I'm going to go ahead and pick on chrome polish, and it gives it that nice, that polished look to it, but this is made out of ABS plastic. But that's it. That is the finish to Activity 5.2b Miniature Train linkage peg.